This is an ABC News special report.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Ramos here in New York. We are coming on the air with breaking news. Stunning developments in Israel as Palestinian militants fired thousands of rockets into Israel overnight in a surprise assault by land, sea, and air. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu telling the people of Israel they are at war. President Biden speaking from the White House, warning Iran and other nations hostile to Israel not to take advantage of the situation. The president making it clear that the U.S. stands with Israel.
You know, when I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning, I told him the United States stands with the people of Israel in the face of these terrorist assaults. Israel has the right to defend itself and its people, full stop. There's never justification for terrorist attacks. And my administration's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering. Let me say this as clearly as I can. This is not a moment for any party hostile to Israel to exploit these attacks to seek advantage. The world is watching.
Netanyahu vowing revenge against Hamas, retaliating with strikes like this one on a residential tower in Gaza. Hamas releasing this video of armed militants crossing into Israel from Gaza. ABC News confirming that at least 50 Israelis are being held hostage right now. This video here shows militants taking hostages near the border with Gaza. And the aftermath, you can see it right there. Burned buildings and cars scorched. The death toll climbing with more than 300 now dead and thousands injured. This coming on one of the holiest days on the Jewish calendar in nearly 50 years to the day after the beginning of the 1973 Yom Kippur War. ABC's Lama Hassan has the latest developments.
Tonight, Israel under attack. Palestinian militant group Hamas launching a massive, unprecedented military operation. From the air, claiming to fire more than 7,000 rockets and long-range missiles, some slamming into cities in southern Israel, sirens wailing. With Israeli cities now on high alert. Huge, thick clouds of black smoke in the sky. Residents taking cover wherever they can.
So it's very scary right now, and as you can see, Tel Aviv is very empty, and the south of Israel is suffering even more.
And on the ground, images on social media showing dozens of heavily armed Palestinians on motorbikes and in pickup trucks, infiltrating Israeli settlements near the border, shooting at passers-by. Israeli TV reporting Hamas capturing at least 50 Israelis, including soldiers, holding them hostage. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declaring to the country, "We are at war and we will win," calling up tens of thousands of army reservists. The Israeli Defense Minister saying Hamas is making a grave mistake, warning they will pay a heavy price, with fighter jets already pounding Hamas targets in Gaza. Hamas spokesperson calling this latest coordinated attack Operation Al-Aqsa Storm, calling on all Palestinians to take up arms and join the fight, saying they're carrying this out in revenge and in retaliation for the way Palestinians have been treated. Stephanie.
Lama, thank you very much. We are joined now by Emily Schrader in Tel Aviv, who says her neighborhood was shaken by bombs tonight. Emily, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time. First off, how are you doing?
I mean, it's not an easy situation. It's definitely been one of the darkest days, I think, in all of Israel's history. We're no stranger to the threat of terrorism, but at the same time, this is significantly worse than really, I think, what anyone would have imagined.
So describe for us the moments when you felt your neighborhood shaking. That had to be so frightening for you and your family.
Yeah, so several hours ago, they sent a barrage, Hamas sent a barrage of rockets into Israel, reaching the Tel Aviv area where I am in the sort of southern Tel Aviv area. As usual, we would go to the bomb shelter in my apartment, shut the doors. But this time we heard a really, really, really loud boom, followed by a lot of shaking and several additional booms after. It was very unsettling because literally the entire ground shook as if it was an earthquake. So we knew that there was some kind of hit. And even when we went down later, to check what had happened. At first, we saw that, a rocket had a direct hit on the street right next to mine, the same block as my neighborhood. But also, as we were going there, another siren went off. And so we had to run back home to the bomb shelter, even in the midst of looking at it. So we really are dealing with a critical situation that is interfering with the everyday lives of millions of Israeli civilians. They're not targeting military sites. They're not targeting military figures. This is a campaign of terrorism that's targeted against, unfortunately, Israeli civilians. And there really is no excuse for targeting civilians in the way that we've seen today, gunning down people at bus stops and pulling people out of their cars and attacking a music festival. That has nothing to do with helping to establish a successful Palestinian state. It has to do with hating another person or another group of people. And that is what I think everyone needs to understand about the conflict that we're dealing with today.
When you first felt that hit, that ground shaking, what were you doing? Did you get any heads up that this was coming? Any signs, any messages from the government telling you to beware?
So we do have a siren system, and the rocket sirens did go off. That's how we knew to go into the bomb shelter and to seal the doors. But at the same time, usually if the Iron Dome shoots it down, there'll be like a boom noise, and maybe if it's very close, you'll feel it, but nothing like this. I mean, this was a direct hit, and you felt it. And when you go on the street, even now, there was shrapnel everywhere, even the buildings next to the one that was hit. And when I first looked out the window, the actual smell of gunpowder was everywhere in the whole neighborhood. It was all smoky everywhere. At first, I thought a building immediately next to me was hit just because of all of the smoke that came. So it's a very frightening experience.
Absolutely horrible. Well, Emily, we want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us while your nation is at war. Please be safe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Back here at home, the White House is emphasizing its diplomatic relationship with Israel. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking by phone earlier today. Let's go to ABC's Mary Alice Parks at the White House. Mary Alice, we know that the relationship between President Biden and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been strained the past few months, but Biden says the U.S. will stand by Israel. What will that support look like now?
Yes, Stephanie, you're exactly right. As President Biden only met for the first time with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, 2 weeks ago at the UN in New York. There was a lot of conversation about the fact that meeting did not happen here in D.C., that it had taken so long in the president's administration for that meeting to occur. You're right. The reality is that relationship had been strained. But we saw today the president and his entire team, his entire administration, come out so forcefully and at least very publicly talk about this relationship, this long-standing special relationship. I mean, using words like unwavering, the relationship being ironclad and rock solid, saying over and over again that the United States would offer any appropriate help to help Israel in this time to defend itself and to help its citizens. You know, just now a senior White House official was holding a call with reporters. It was sort of still going on as we were coming on the air, and was asked, did Israel already ask for anything specific? This senior administration official would not get into those details, but I can imagine that in the next few days and weeks, we're going to be having a big conversation about how exactly the U.S. is helping not only with information sharing, but with potentially a new weapons package, I would imagine, Stephanie.
And of course, this is just the beginning. Mary Alice at the White House for us. Thank you so much. And the U.S. is on high alert. New York and other cities increasing security, especially around synagogues. Let's bring in ABC's senior Pentagon reporter, Louis Martinez. Louis, what precautions are being taken stateside?
Stephanie, you're exactly right. These precautions that are being taken at major cities across America. We know about New York. We know about Los Angeles. We know about Beverly Hills. What we are seeing is an increased police presence, a security presence around Jewish places of worship. We are also seeing some additional security forces at some places where Palestinians gather. The idea here is that traditionally this does happen whenever there's a major international crisis involving these two factions. And in this scenario, it's no different. So the idea is to protect any American stateside so that anything that happens overseas does not come back here to the United States.
Louis, thank you so much for that update. We will continue to check in with you, Mary Alice, as well, and Lama Hassan for the latest updates on this situation. Stay with ABC News Live and abcnews.com for continuing coverage. I'm Stephanie Ramos. Thanks so much for streaming with us.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.